Okay, you're up.
Yeah, you won the ball game. Obviously, a lot of things to clean up, but the one thing that really proud of the guys, and one of the guys is on the Zoom is some of our big time players stepped up, made some plays towards the tail end of the game, but we've got some run things to clean up, which we will. A couple alignment mistakes that obviously give Zach and his crew a lot of credit in terms of their offense and what they do, and they're talented, but we found a way, and that was to me a really good sign of a good ball club is regardless, hang in there, keep throwing punches, and then make some critical plays to close out the game. So very happy with that.
Okay, please raise your hands and I'll call on you. We'll start with Ryan Karchi.
Morning, Todd. Because we haven't seen your defense in action at USC, could you give us an idea of, in terms of just like assignment wise, what was working, maybe what wasn't necessarily working in terms of what you want the defense to look like?
Well, it's going to be multiple. And it's really, you'd like to try to create negative yardage plays to get them into third and very predictable. And then, you'd like to see this thing probably about 32%, 30%. That's normally where it's at on third down, so you can get off the field. Some of the stuff that happened to us on a couple of the edge plays were just communication, and coming really from day one install. So it wasn't like it was something exotic or something that that's not correctable. So it's going to be multiple. It was we tried to attack Jaden, and try to limit that part of it, but then we kind of settled into some of the stuff that that is our best run defense, and we've got to get better. That's probably the biggest thing that we can tell it. So it's been emphasized, but you watch the tape and it's all correctable stuff, and it just goes back to some communication and just doing some better things. That's all.
What was it that Marlon did particularly well in that game?
Well, he made the plays to settle us down, and we always talk about, sometimes you get on the ropes a little bit and you're searching. And the big time guys step up and make the plays that settle people in or just make explosive. I thought his one play, I think it was a tailwind. It was like a late third down where he beats a blocker and makes a critical stop on the QB. And those plays, that's the expectation because these guys are very seasoned. So some of the younger guys that don't have a lot of game reps. If they're in the spots they're supposed to be and they're making the plays they're supposed to make, you're happy with that. But when you get guys like Marlon, guys like Drake, you're looking for 2 or 3 plays that are outside the norm to go along with the plays that they should make. And then that's when you have really special players like that, that's what they should do. And that really helps you.
Okay, go to Ryan Young.
Todd, there's a lot of focus on the linebackers in the preseason. What was your evaluation of those guys on Saturday?
Yeah, they're okay. We got to get better. I have no problems with saying that because I coach the position. We've got to do a better job of getting those guys to play faster and more physical and more violent. So they know. I mean, we went into that room, and anytime you give up the amount of running yards that we did, I mean, that is the position that you got to get that stuff corrected. So it's all of us. I got to do a better job coaching. We got to do a better job of getting off of blocks and separating, and we will. I can promise you that.
Is there one primary emphasis? Was it positioning, or is it something specific?
No, it was just a collection of stuff. Some the part. There was some fit up issues, but it's all correctable stuff. The ones that we got hit on, we actually had 2 guys on the same side with just alignment mistakes. So that gives you 0 chance. But there's an expectation, and we're, obviously, from a standpoint of talent level, it's there. I've got to do a better job of getting these guys to play faster. And I have no problem with saying that.
Let's go to Antonio.
Todd, what do you think about Drake Jackson's performance and that kind of hybrid role for him?
Yeah, it was good. Because I was a little bit concerned. He didn't get a ton of live reps, but he's such a dynamic player. I was a little bit concerned going in from a tackling standpoint, but he's such a good athlete. He did a really good job, and to me, he's a special player. We got to be mindful of the stuff that we're doing or asking him to do. But the play that he makes, Marlon makes that critical play on the third down, but the play he makes at the end of the game is just, those are the 2 to 3 plays that the really special players make. And, he beats the tackle clean, forces the throw fast, and it's an incomplete. And to me, that's recruiting. You're in this area, and there's some really good high school players in this area that, the top guys, and you get those guys that come to your program, they make us all look great. So, I mean, he did some things out there that were pretty special.
Adam Grossbard.
Todd, there were a couple moments where Jaden was able to get out of the pocket and make some plays with his feet. Were there any common denominators in terms of how those plays broke down?
Yeah, they're when you get players that, to me, that can make throws and can run, you just have to be mindful. There's a little bit of schematics into it, because at the end of the day, if you bring 4 and they got 6 back there to block, it's not good numbers for you, especially if you're covering the heck out of everybody. So I think the one that he hit on us later on, I thought they did a really good job of coming back and picking up one of our pressures. And then he escaped out. So you just have to be mindful of that. And I think, you look towards the tail end of the game, kind of our intent was to kind of, bring enough guys that we could at least go 6 for 6 on them and force them to throw the football. So that's a little bit of, when you get a really elite athlete back there that can throw the football, it's tough. You can say what you want to say. You can stay in rush lanes. You can do all that. But when somebody's grabbing you up and you're trying to tackle a dynamic athlete, it's hard to do. So that really, in my opinion, that kind of falls on the coordinator to kind of figure it out and what you need to do to stop them.
And then initial thoughts on Grant Gunnell and the Arizona offense.
Yeah, it's pace. So, it's something that's unique. We go from a shift trade team that's in the huddle, not really in the huddle, but kind of a sugar huddle, to press the gas, 24/7. So it's different. It's kind of unique to go back to back on teams like that. So, we're going to have to, get to the ball and be fast in terms of our assignments and our alignments. And then we know that they're going to try to run the football after they saw that. So we got to stop the run to begin with. And we know balls are going out in the perimeter. So unique situation, first time on the road too with this crew. And but I know we're excited. We know that we can play much, much better than we did. End of the day, we won the ball game, and let's move on to the next one. But they're a space team. They're going to get people the football, dynamic guys. Get them in space and try to run away from you.
Let's jump to shotgun.
Todd, did you change your game plan at all after Frank Darby went out? Did you decide to play a little bit more man coverage on the outside then?
Yeah, but it wasn't a little bit about Frank. It's what ended up happening during that game is we kind of went to a front and coverage versus the run game, because you could see what their intent was to do. They were going to try to cut down the clock, but towards the tail end of the game, absolutely. It's when have some experience like Max's experience, Chris's experience. So you don't have that. You don't sit there as a play caller and necessarily worry about the outside. And our intent towards the tail end of the game was to make sure that Jay didn't beat us with his legs and take our chances on the outside with some older guys on some younger guys. So it came into play a little bit more, towards the tail end of the game than it did initially in the beginning.
And how did you feel that those corners played? You put them on an island a lot.
Yeah, they did a good job. They were aggressive. They got up in there, but it's like I said beforehand, it's their coach is an extremely confident guy. I think the guys are playing with a lot of confidence right now, but there's a long season. So, but if you're talking about the game specifically, I thought they went up there and they challenged guys and they stuck with them, which was really good. I thought during the game that there was not one time where you, as a play caller, you sat there and say, "Ooh, that guy got by us," and that could have been ugly. You felt pretty confident. So when you have that play on the outside, it makes the game so much easier to call. And that's the one thing that I told Tay was like, "Hey man, that's a really good job collectively as a group," because sometimes as a coordinator, you sit there and you need to get stuff done. Like for us, it was stop the run game, but you put guys out there one-on-one and somebody gets beat, and now you're kind of in between. But I never felt at one point during the game that those guys needed help.
Okay, let's go to Ryan Young. I know you've got some player questions here.
Marlon, that might be the best game we've seen you play. Is there something about this scheme that frees you up to do more, or did you just kind of feel that you had to be that guy for this defense this year?
Yeah, like I think it's a little bit of both. It's my junior year, so I felt like I gotta step it up a little bit, and then credit to coach to the coaches. Like they had us moving around a lot, so we weren't just playing like a base defense the whole game. So that was pretty good too.
And for Parker, coming into this preseason, did you think you had a chance to win that job? What was your mentality? And also, what's your history with onside kicks? Have you had a lot of work with that, or was that just a best case scenario Saturday?
Going into the season, I just tried to just compete my best and just hit my ball. That was the mindset I had throughout the entire fall camp. And back to the onside kicks, that was my first in-game onside kick. So I'm just really glad everything went well.
Ryan Karchi.
Marlon, where do you feel like your game has improved the most, just generally over the course of this past offseason?
I feel like kind of my pass rush has gotten a little better. Thanks to Coach Vic and like his techniques that he's been teaching our group. But again, like we gotta do a better job at stopping the run, and that's what we've been working on this week, preparing for Arizona.
Antonio?
Parker, can you describe what that moment was like when you were named the starter, when you found out you won that job?
It was honestly a pretty crazy moment. Coming in as a freshman and winning the job was really surreal. But I just try to maintain, like, be calm and just focus up for the game. That was my mentality after.
And what was your mindset as you were getting ready for that onside kick on Saturday, and what you wanted to do with it?
Gosh, I honestly, like, that was such a just crazy intense moment. I can't even tell you like what was going through my head. It was just just practice, repetition, just do what we did in practice. That's what I had going.
Back to Ryan Young.
Todd, is there more and more we're going to see from your defense as weeks go on and you get more time with the guys? It's kind of common, I guess, maybe to come out a little simpler the first time. You haven't really seen them in action.
Yes. There is some stuff towards the tail end that we have a package itself, but inside of that, you kind of select the stuff that you want to do for the game. So there is more to it, but when it's just very unique, having a first game where I think, you sit there and there's a lot of unknowns, and I'm sure there was a ton of unknowns for Arizona State coming into it. So, they're a unique offense. So you're trying to be mindful of how much you do, but there is some more that we can do. It just depends on what type of offense we're playing. So, but it's really the package itself is in. We probably used about 70 to 75% of it on Saturday. But there's a handful more stuff that we have available that we didn't use. So we'll see where it plays. If it fits to be able to stop them, we'll use it. If it doesn't, then we'll continue to do the stuff that we're doing.
And then everywhere you've been, rush defense has kind of been the hallmark of your defenses. Is that a stat you take personally when?
Oh yeah, for sure. You know, it's when you're giving up that many rushing yards, that's not a good thing with us. So it's one thing. When you have a dynamic quarterback that maybe scrambles and does that stuff, but they're not talking about those things. Those happen. I've competed against Lamar and Murray and those guys, and you put that to the side because you better pick your poison on it because they can throw every ball. But just the traditional tailback running game, and if you're not doing it good, you have no chance of playing elite defense because nobody will throw the ball on you. So they'll just run it. And it's really hard to screw up a run play. You have to find somebody, you have to throw it, they got to catch it. So in the pass game, it's, are some variables to it, but that's where our emphasis is going to be this week is let's make sure that we stop the run game. And then, obviously when we get an opportunity to put pressure on the quarterback, we put pressure on the quarterback.
Let's jump to Mark Colton.
Coach, you were talking about, playing these RPO styles and up-tempo. Are there certain techniques you can teach the defenders to train their eyes to watch the ball better when it's in the backfield?
Well, it's really not that. It's really the assignment part of the guys that are part of the core of the formation. So for these guys, we're going to see a decent amount of 4 receiver sets unless they change. The 5 guys that are inside are the 5 guys or 6 guys that we'll have inside also. So, I mean, they'll be trained to see what's going on there, but the guys on the perimeter have to train their eyes to see the receivers. So it's, when you start peeking inside, if you're an outside contained player, that's when issues become. If you're a corner that starts peeking in to try to make plays, that's when people run by you. So this is very much kind of a throwing style of triple option. You can run the ball, pull it with a quarterback, or throw the ball in a relief on the outside. So it's very much a kind of assignment defense that you would perform versus like a Navy or a triple option team that you make sure that you see your keys. So if you're close to the ball, obviously, part of the quarter formation like Marlon would be he's worried about, the nose of the guard or the center or the guard. But the guys at linebacker, same exact way. But those guys out in the perimeter have to really, really focus in because they can get you sleeping and then all of a sudden throw the ball on the outside or throw the ball down the field.
Ryan Karchi.
Todd, Clay has more than once referred to you as a perfectionist. Is that kind of always been your general mode as a football coach?
Well, I would hope that in this profession, especially if you get to a job like this, that you would try your best to do everything at an elite level. Now, to be absolutely 100% on everything is probably not reality, but I just feel like we're pretty demanding in terms of what our expectations of the players are. So you better bring your A+ game every day to work, and you better give guys the knowledge of experience. Like, I don't claim to be like super duper smart, but I do have a lot of years under my belt. So I always say, like, I don't know how to play chess, but if you made me play chess for 40 years, I'd probably get pretty good at chess. So it's, that you got to come in with the right attitude. And I just go back to the players is like, if you're demanding excellence out of somebody, you better bring it every day. And that's really at the end of the day, what we're trying to get accomplished is give these guys every opportunity, whether it's fundamentals or techniques or schematics, give them every opportunity to be successful, because really at the end of the day, that's why we coach. We don't coach for anything outside. I know me personally, if Marlon can make a handful of plays like he did that are maybe schematics or something that Vic taught him, to me, that fires me up. I want to see guys have success, and but we have to bring it every day, and that's probably the perfection part of it is trying to get to that level and having enough gas to do it through the season.
Shotgun.
Todd, how'd you feel like you guys handled their emotions and shifts? I think it was probably 50-60% of the plays. They were doing
Yeah.
something.
Well, when we had guys on the opposite sides of each other, we were okay. But, we had a handful of plays that, it's first ball games. It's, you train a certain way and you're hoping that, when you get on the field that you just stay with your training. And there was a couple plays out there that we kind of lost our minds. So, and when you watch the tape and you think first ball games, you think about, I don't make excuses for it, but I really believe that, getting 3 or 4 weeks in and not having the spring football, that could have helped us on some of these things. But let's give Zach and his staff some credit, because that's what they do, and just like we did some things out there that are unique, and, and they sit there and give us credit. Let's give those guys some credit, because, that's that offense with shift trades and motions with a mobile quarterback, with some tailbacks that can run the football, and, and to have some outside threats. That's a good little offense. So, all correctable stuff. So I think anytime you go into a meeting room, and this has been my experience with this, and you put film on and you say, like, this is a hard play, but you're sitting there telling a kid, like, hey, you need to make this play there, but when you're giving up plays because misalignments or just simple technical stuff, and I loved our mindset. When we were in the linebacker meeting room, it was like, I'll get this right. I promise you. There was no, palms up or point fingers. And that's a really, really good sign for I care, and I'm going to get this stuff correct. And I was the same way. I came into that room and I got to do a better job. And we will, I promise you.
And then, sorry.
Shot, we have time for just a couple more questions, so let's share the wealth here. Kyle Kensing.
Yeah, this one's for Marlon. You guys go down by 2 scores and kind of have your backs against the wall to a certain extent. What do you feel like contributed to forcing the punt there late in the game, and then forcing them out on downs, when all they need is a field goal to win? Was it a sense of urgency, or did you feel like you all had just kind of maybe settled into the, that first game a little bit by that point?
Yeah, our group our defense did a good job of not giving in. We still wanted to go out there and play ball, and that's exactly what we did. Credit to all our guys, and just keeping the energy up on the sideline, and our coach had also given us energy, to just go out there and keep playing, and we didn't give up.
And was there a noticeable learning curve that you felt like over the course of the game to any sort of extent?
We got to just do a better job of stopping the run. Like Coach said, just little things that getting out of our gap and stuff like that. But like he said, we'll get it fixed by Saturday.
Thank you.
Ryan Young, one question here.
Yeah, Todd, there didn't seem to be a ton of rotation on the defensive line. Was that game flow, or is that just kind of what you're comfortable with right now, personnel-wise?
It is how you practice around here is going to be how many reps you get. You know what I'm saying? So, and a little bit has to do with kind of the pace of the game too. This is a little bit of a kind of a sugar huddle operation, so plays are going deep into it. But we've kind of talked about this going into this. It's not going to be participation awards and what you put on film. And here's the cool part about it is every night after practice we sit down and we watch every rep of every play that we have, and there's no favoritism. There's no backside meetings, none of that stuff. So the way you practice is the amount of plays that you're going to get. So you practice your tail off, you're going to be playing on Saturdays. And if you don't, it's going to be limited. So I think we're trying to stay very consistent in terms of our message, so we can get better throughout the year.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to have to cut it off here. I know Coach has some meetings, players have some class. So a couple of quick reminders to the media. Tomorrow morning at 8, we have Coach Helton. At 1 o'clock, the Pac-12 Basketball Media Day has Andy Enfield and Ethan Anderson. Because of that, we're going to cancel our Friday Andy Enfield presser. So you can get your basketball info tomorrow with Andy. And with that, have the rest of the day, everybody. Marlon, Parker, thanks for joining us. Coach Orlando, thank you. Great job. We'll see everybody tomorrow.